the homework. So I'm gonna start the homework with you. Okay, so this will be 4A. Tomorrow we'll do part B. Assignment or practice, whatever you want to call it. The numbers what matters to me, right? For 4A. Okay. And what it is completing the triangle. All that means completing a triangle is you find everything. So you actually did that already yesterday. If you completed the homework, that was the second part of the homework yesterday. So you guys could already start already doing what we did already. But I want to show you a few things. Okay, so it's not really nothing new, but just a few things that where you could take shortcuts and stuff. But before I begin, here is probably the most important thing about this unit that needs to be super clear in your head. It doesn't matter if it's sine, cosine, or tangent. All of them have three things: an angle and two sides. Okay. When you're doing any problem, when you do the setup, you should know two of the three things. It doesn't matter which two, but two of the three things. If you ever do one of these problems and you don't know the angle and you don't know this side, for example, that's a dead end. There's nothing you can do with that problem. So always you have to know at least two. And then you can solve that equation. Okay, so when you're setting it up, like that has to be really clear to you. Okay, so let's do number one. This is number one from your homework. Number one looks like this. Triangle like that. This is the 90-degree side. I'm also going to show you how to label. I don't think we've gone over labeling. This is 13 and this is 12. Okay, so this is how they're given to you. Remember, they always have to give you at least two things. So in this case, they didn't give us an angle, but they gave us two sides. So we're missing this angle, we're missing this angle, and we're missing this side. We're missing three things. We have to find three things. Where students get stuck with these problems usually is like they don't know where to start. Because on the other problems, we always told you, find this, find this. Here, you don't know, like, what should I find first? The answer to that is it doesn't really matter. You just got to go find something and then start finding something else and something else. So for example, on this one, I'm going to start with this angle. Why? Just because. Okay, I want to find angle A. So for angle A, I'll do it over here. This is how you write angle A. Okay, angle A. If that bugs you, then just call angle A theta and put theta on angle A. So whatever you want to label it, but this is the official way. Okay, so if I want to look for this angle, from this point of view, that would be my opposite, that would be my hypotenuse, and that would be my adjacent, right? If I'm looking at this angle. Because those change if I'm looking at angle B, right? It's like where you're looking from. Everybody, we're good? Everybody good? Okay, so anyways, if I want this angle, I need two sides. So I need to use those two sides. So that AH, that's a cosine problem, right? So I'm going to do cosine of angle A, or theta, whatever you called it, equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, and this is what you learned yesterday. So if you're absent yesterday, when you're looking for the angle, you do the inverse. That switches the angle in and the side. So you do the inverse of 12, 13 equals, and that will give you angle A. Okay. So to save time, just trust me, if you plug this in your calculator, the answer will be 22.6, because we've done it earlier. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth today. Okay, so everything to the nearest tenth. Okay. Everybody good? Yep. Okay. So this angle right here is 22.6. Okay, now guys, here's where you start having the options. Okay, for example, angle B. Okay, how do you find angle B? 100% you can use one of the trig functions to find angle B. Okay, so for example, I could use AH again, so I could use this cosine again for here, right? Oh, well, actually, if I use this one, sorry, I'm thinking out loud, this would be O, right? If I'm from here, that's O. So I would use sine OH. But here's a shortcut. This is why I wanted to do problems with you. If you have two angles, there's no need to use a trig function, right? Because these two should add up to What should they have? 90. Okay, so a shortcut would be for angle B. I know that all three of them add up to 180. So that's already 90. So these two have to be 90 together. So I could just do 90 minus 22.6. Okay, and that would be 67.4. Yeah. So this one's 67.4. And I don't have to use the trig function. I could have used the trig function, but I didn't have to because I just, does that make sense? Yeah, we're good? Yes, yes, okay. The only thing I'm missing now is the opposite side, okay? Again, it's completely up to you. Like, it's because you have a lot of choices here. I can use it from this angle. I could use this angle to find opposite. It doesn't matter to find this side. What I would suggest, since I already labeled O, A, H from this perspective, I'm going to use that angle. Because if I use this angle, I'm going to have to relabel. You know what I mean? So I'll use the one that I already labeled. Okay, so if I use, let me switch colors here. If I use this angle, and I need this guy, okay? So I have the angle. I need O. I could use A or H, because I know both of those numbers. But it has to have O for sure. So this one has O. This one has O, right? If I use A, I have to use this one. But if I use H, I have to use this one. They're both right, okay? You can choose which one. So I'm gonna use, I'll do it up here small, because I don't have a lot of space. I'll use sine, okay? So sine of 22.6 equals the opposite, which I don't know what the opposite is. I called it X. You could call it opposite. You could call it side BC, okay, whatever you want to call it, over hypotenuse. See, I know two things. I know the angle, I know the side. Two things. So I just solve this. So equal 13 times sine 22.6. And so side BC, which is what I was really looking for, ends up being 5. And there's all my sides. Okay, it's complete. Okay. Any questions right now, guys? The thing is that you have a lot of options. You can do it a lot of different ways. Okay, so for example, one more thing I want to show you. It's the same triangle. You don't have to redraw it, but 13, 12, hypotenuse. If you have two sides, there's another way you can find the other side. We just haven't gone over it. For right triangles, you guys remember this from, I don't know what grade you learned this in, but I know you learned it before geometry is taught to you. Anybody remember what that's called by chance? Pythagorean theorem, okay? So I just want to give you a little refresher on how to use it, okay? For Pythagorean theorem, the key part is C, it has to be the hypotenuse. A and B can be whichever two sides, okay? So I'm going to call this one side A, side B. And then we just plug in the numbers. So I don't know what A is, B is 12, C is 13. And then you solve that little equation for A, right? So I subtract the 12. Pythagorean theorem. And then I got to get rid of the square root. So, of the square by doing the square root. I do the square root of both sides. That gets rid of the square. I plug all that mess exactly the way it looks on the calculator, and you get 5 as your answer. Okay. Do you have to use the Pythagorean theorem? No, you don't have to use the Pythagorean. You can use the trig function. Like I said, there's a bunch of options to get the same answer. Okay, so I want to give you the analogy of, it's kind of, today's work is kind of like if I told all of you guys that drive, let's go to Walmart in Georgia. You know, some of you go down I-40, some of you go down 34th Street. We go different paths, but that's with these. There's a bunch of different ways you could do the problem. So you might do it one way, he might do it a different way, because there's a lot of ways. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay, so we'll stop here. If you open it on Canvas,